Whenever you think, oh, I should trust this man, I really feel like he's trustworthy. Just remember that a couple of weeks ago when I asked my boyfriend, now ex-boyfriend, if he was talking to anyone else because I was getting like a weird gut feeling and he was following all these girls on Instagram, he told me I was crazy and he said absolutely not, he would never do that. And in that same hour, he texted a girl to come over to his house. And the only reason I know is because I saw the texts and the timestamps. Stay woke, ladies.
This is celebrity breakup drama that you can relate to. We've all had that friend or been that friend who remains with a toxic man despite the multitude of warnings we have received from people around us. But until we get burned, we don't see the monster sleeping beside us. This is the case of Haylee Baylee, the famous influencer whose breakup had her crying and shaking on the internet. But if she had listened to the woman who tried to warn her 1 year ago, she could have avoided all this.
So obviously the last thing I said to her was like, you know, it's your responsibility now to make sure this doesn't happen to other women. And she's like, 100%. That is why I made him sign something. I don't understand the like lengths that you would go to for all of that. Why would you not just stop making content with him?
In 2024, the famous Haylee Baylee began to show a particular man in her videos called Kyle Vieira. They would post funny and cute couple videos together, and as expected, the internet ate it up. Everybody was happy that Haylee was happy, and some people even thought that this Kyle may have been the billionaire boyfriend that Haylee was making skits about when her TikTok account started getting viral newly.
Welcome back to a day in the life of a stay-at-home billionaire's girlfriend. When I was getting ready today, I got a text from William's assistant. She said William is planning on coming home tonight. I couldn't believe it. I started to panic. William wasn't supposed to be home for another 2 weeks, and the apartment is a huge mess. William believes it's a woman's job to keep everything clean, so if he ever saw this mess, he would definitely dump me.
They were wrong though. Haylee was paying for everything, and it seemed like this dude did not have a dime, and even charged her for being her boyfriend. Now, while Haylee was basking in the euphoria of her newfound love, another influencer called Jamie Stone was watching and noticed that Haylee's new sweetheart was her toxic ex, who had an incurable disease, as she alleged, and almost infected her with this disease.
So I started digging through his trash, which I know is insane, but I'm like, I need to find this proof. And instead of finding dirty, I actually found a bunch of pill bottles with the name of the medication and his name scratched out on all of them. And I was like, that's weird. Why are you scratching out pill bottles? So he actually missed the name of the medication on one of the bottles. So then I was able to Google it. And I found out what exactly it was for. And it was for a certain thing that you can spread via intimacy. And obviously he and I had been intimate because we were dating.
And being a girl's girl, she DM'd Haylee to warn her about this danger to women, her own words. But when Haylee, blinded by love, refused to listen, Jamie Stone launched a 3-part series on TikTok on who this guy is and why Haylee was making the biggest mistake of her life. Now, if you want the full gist of this influencer's story, the link to that video will be in the description and also at the end of this video. It was a whole nother video I made 1 year ago, and it aged well because 1 year after I made that video, Haylee has learned her lesson the hard way. Take a look at these.
I heard the girls were doing this and I just have so much I want to say. So welcome to a day in the life with your boyfriend from hell. This story begins a day before because you have been traveling a ton for work. You have been so busy and you are absolutely exhausted. And you and your boyfriend have plans to go to this amazing place together. You've called a bunch of people. You have paid money. He said he would go. And then he ends up ditching you. You're like, what in the world? We literally had plans. You said yes 6,000 times before I paid money, before I waited on call for 2 hours. What's going on? He blames it on work. So you're like, okay, I'm really upset, but he promises though that he will make it up to you. So you spend the entire day with your friends instead because your boyfriend never showed up, but you're still excited to see him when you get home. The second you land, you call your boyfriend and you say, hey, I really want to see you. Where are you? And he says he has work, which is a little weird because he's never once really worked in front of you. So you have no idea what he could actually even be working on, but that's besides the point. Around like 10:30 at night, he's finally done with work and he comes over. You order him food because he never pays for food himself, and you eat the food and then you go to bed. In the morning, you wake up because you're so happy to have finally slept in your own bed and gotten a good night's sleep, and you roll over to cuddle with your boyfriend. But he springs out of bed and says he has to get to work, which again doesn't really make sense because what would that work be? He tells you that he needs to film even though he's not a content creator. So you're just confused, but you're like, okay, I guess go get your work done and I will see you later. You're excited though, because he did say that he was gonna make it up to you for missing the entire weekend that you spent money on and prepared for. So you're texting him throughout the day, how excited you are to see him, all the plans that you wanna do, all the things that you wanna do that evening. Every time you invite him over, he keeps saying, I'm busy with work, I'll come later. So you're like, okay. But then while you are scrolling on Instagram, you see that he has been following all of these women. And you're like, that's really weird. Why is he doing that? So of course you ask him and he responds by saying you are crazy, you are looking into things too much, and that nothing is going on. He's not talking to anyone else and he would never do that. So you're like, okay, that's sketchy, but I'm going to believe you. 8 o'clock rolls around and he finally comes over and you just have this like weird gut feeling. So you ask to see his phone and he's very reluctant to give it to you, which is weird because he literally 2 hours before just told you that you were crazy for thinking he would even consider talking to anyone else. He eventually hands over his phone, so you go to messages. But you're smart, so you know to go to deleted messages. And you feel like somebody stabbed you in the stomach. There are hundreds and hundreds of deleted messages from so many girls. So you pick a random message to start scrolling through, and it so happens that all day he was texting her. And you don't even recognize the name because this isn't even one of the names that he followed on Instagram. Of course, as you're scrolling, he keeps trying to grab the phone from you and saying, don't look, no, it isn't what it looks like. But of course, it's exactly what it looks like, so you run away from him and keep scrolling. You notice a message asking a girl to come over at 5:30 that day. Messages asking this girl to meet him at his apartment. And these messages are literally time-stamped the exact same time as the message he sent you that said he's not talking to anyone else and that you're crazy for even thinking that. You keep scrolling and he's calling her babe. She's saying that she's going to cook for him again. You are so caught off guard and so sad that you don't even know what to think. All you know is that he invited a girl over an hour before he came to your house. 1 hour. He, of course, tries to grab the phone from you while telling you, no, it's not what it looks like. I've never met up with her. I don't care about her. Meanwhile, you're still scrolling and he has met up with her because she sent a I'm here text to him. He starts begging you to give him the phone back, but of course you don't. You're trying to figure out all of the lies that your boyfriend has told you over the last year and a half. You try to run to the bathroom to lock yourself in it so that he can't grab the phone, but of course he follows you and he pushes open the bathroom door and corners you. So unfortunately you don't get to see any other messages, but you know that this man has been lying through his teeth to you basically the entire relationship. He then proceeds to get on his hands and knees and beg you to believe him, to believe that he never saw her, to believe that he never touched her, to believe that he had no interest in her whatsoever. But of course you've seen the text, so you know that all of that is not true. So you break down crying and you kick him out of your house. You of course are heartbroken, so you text him asking for answers, but he continues to lie and lie and lie and lie. He refuses to let you come over to his house because, well, we already know that she was over an hour before. So he doesn't want you to see any of the evidence that's laying around at his house. While you are crying yourself to sleep at night because you don't understand how the person you loved most in the world could backstab you like that and lie directly to your face so many flippin' times, you receive a text from him asking you to sign an NDA so you can't talk about any of this on the internet. He deserves the chance to change, even though he's done this to every single girl he's ever been with. I am so stupid. What was I thinking? You, of course, don't sign it.
What do you say to a woman who was warned about all of this and still decided to see for herself?
I'll see for myself.
Will you say I told you so, or will you sympathize with her? And I understand her plight from a woman's perspective. You want to believe that he has changed. You want to believe he loves you more than he loved the other woman. You want to trust him and believe that he would never do the same thing to you. But my dear, a leopard never changes his spots. So it was never real. The cute couple photos and the videos, it was all fake. That man only used her as a crutch to climb the ladder of social media popularity, in my opinion. I mean, the man never spent a dime on her and even demanded to be paid to appear in her videos.
Let's do an edition of the things my ex-boyfriend did And I still stayed. Yes, I'm aware some of these are very foul and I should have seen it coming, but you know, when you're in love, you're dumb. Let us begin. After about a year of dating, I asked him what my middle name was and he didn't know. He didn't even have a guess. During the first 6 months that we were dating, he secretly talked to a woman, FaceTimes, text messages, hangouts, and I knew nothing about it until I saw it all in his phone, in the deleted. When I saw that a particular girl's text messages were under hide alert, he continued to tell me that he must have fallen on his phone. And that's why the alerts were hidden. This man was literally on his hands and knees, begging me, looking me in the eyes, crying, telling me that that's what happened. When he met my parents for the first time, he drank a whole bottle of whiskey that day. And when I questioned him about it, he said that I shouldn't be able to control what he drinks and that he is an adult. He would follow so many girls on Instagram and like so many girls' photos that I had to download a tracker for the things that he liked just to check if he was lying to me about them. And he was always lying to me about them. That should have been my sign. I should have just, Whenever we would film a video together, he would make sure to make my life a living hell unless I tagged him. And even when I did tag him, he asked me to pay him to be in my videos, which like, you're my boyfriend. You should want to be in my videos. He would also get mad at me if I wouldn't help him edit and film his own videos, even if I didn't have time. Half the time I would just edit them for him. I paid for everything. For his birthday, I paid off all of his credit cards, and then he still asked me for more money. My first dog ever's name was Pooh Bear. She literally changed the course of my entire life. And about a year and a half into dating, I asked him what gender Pooh Bear was, and he didn't know. He literally had no idea. Her ashes are on my bedside table. He would ask me to pay for Ubers so that he could go from his house to my house. This is actually starting to get embarrassing. We were at a work event together and he flirted with another girl in front of me at the bar for 10 minutes. Didn't turn around once to look at me. Not even once. And then when I called him out about it, he screamed at me in front of everyone at the bar and told me that I was crazy. He turned off his iCloud updates just so all of the things that he was doing in his phone wouldn't also be found on iCloud. He wanted to come on every work trip with me, so when we'd finally book tickets and set everything up in his name, he'd randomly bail. He'd say he had to focus on work like a day before the trip, and I'd have to scramble to change everything. And he'd never apologize for that either. When I had surgery and couldn't even stand up on my own, he told me that it was too late to come over to help me. It was 9:30 and he was at his friend's house drinking. I sent him a voice note of me bawling and begging him to come over, and he ignored me the entire night. He had a thing for ignoring me whenever I was in any state that wasn't happy. I spent so many nights bawling my eyes out calling him, and he wouldn't answer a single call. And then the next day he would text me that he loved me like nothing happened. It was so... I don't even know how you do that to a person. I was going through something really serious with my personal life, and I told him about it, and he never asked about it again. Never checked in, never asked how I was. On my birthday, he refused to come over and then ignored me. I found thousands of videos of him, with other women in his phone. Videos from many years. Videos that I don't even know if those women knew were taken. I always asked if he could control his drinking around certain friends and family members. That never happened. He lied about how many women he's been with. He lied about when his previous relationships ended. He lied about pretty much everything. And the one that everyone already knows. He came over to my house an hour after inviting another girl over to his house, and then lied to me and told me he wasn't talking to anybody else. Bring on the era of decentering men, because I'm never letting that happen to me ever again. But hey, when you love someone, it's very, very easy for them to manipulate you, and it's very easy for them to paint this picture that isn't true.
So after paying him, he spends the money on other women? Everything Jamie accused him of is what he did to Haylee. And when she started to see the patterns repeating, that is where she should have bolted out of that relationship. But instead, she let it go on for so long, to the point where the aftermath of that relationship had her doing her own series on TikTok. I know you love the man, but sometimes the person warning you is not jealous of you. Sometimes they're just seeing the danger you have convinced yourself does not exist. Anyway, that's where the video ends for today. If you've watched this far, please give the video a like and drop a comment. That will mean so much to me. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.